Like, you guys also have Boxing Day, which I don't think any other countries have it. And you know, to be fair, I think it's a privilege because in a lot of countries that cannot be done. A while ago, I created a video about things that I didn't expect when moving to England, and that includes some of the things that really surprised me and some of the culture shock that I experienced. And you guys seem to really be enjoying that video, so I thought I'll create a part 2 of that one. Just in case you're new here, my name is Poppy and I am originally from Thailand. I moved to England 3 years ago. The first one is contactless. I feel like this applies to both inside of London and outside of London. I was living in Gloucestershire before, and even there, most shops I would say, or restaurants will accept contactless payment. I mean, you get some random takeaway places that wouldn't accept it. For outside of London, for example, I think, if I remember correctly, I mean, it's been years now since I moved to London. I think buses outside of London, you can still use cash. Well, that's how it was for me anyway. When I was living in Gloucestershire, I could use contactless almost everywhere, but for public transportation, I still needed to use cash on the bus. However, in London, public transportation on tube, trains, or buses, you can use contactless, and you know what, I absolutely love it. I do not remember the last time I have cash in my purse. I mean, there's this one Thai takeaway that I go quite frequently and they only accept cash, and that will be the only time that I will have cash in my wallet. So yeah, absolutely love that fact. And yeah, that's one thing that kind of surprised me and I did not expect when moving here. The next one is probably something that you don't hear a lot of people talking about, but coming from a country where criticizing or talking negatively about the royal family is a taboo and in some cases is illegal. As some of you know, in Thailand there is a law called, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, lèse majesté, where if you talk negatively about the royal family, you can get charged. So coming here, I didn't really expect that people can talk about the royal family in any way that they want. You know, they can criticize them, they can say anything about them and express it freely. So that's one of the things that I did not really expect. And you know, to be fair, I think it's a privilege because in a lot of countries that cannot be done. As we're coming towards the end of November, I feel like I need to talk about Christmas. So of course, before moving here, I knew that, you know, Christmas is being celebrated here because it's a Christian country. However, I did not know how big it is going to be celebrated here. It's much bigger than I thought it would be. Like, you guys also have Boxing Day, which I don't think any other countries have it. So for those of you who don't live in the UK, Boxing Day is the day after Christmas Day, so 26th of December, and that is also a bank holiday or a national holiday, so it's a day off just like Christmas Day. And I feel like it adds that extra to the festivity of Christmas here in the UK. A lot of companies do a long break between Christmas and New Year as well by using some of your annual leave days. So for example, if you have 28 days annual leave, they'll take 3 days off you, mandatory, for the company to close between Christmas or New Year. So basically you're sacrificing your 3 days of your annual leave. However, you're getting a long break between those times, and that is about, like, say 10 days or sometimes nearly 2 weeks, and that is so good. I just think it's so special. Now, talking about special days, there are also many other special days that I didn't know before as well. So for example, you guys have Pancakes Day, you have Curry Day, and you have Macmillan Coffee Morning, for example. And I just thought these are just so like fun and special. We didn't really have that in Thailand. I remember my very first Macmillan morning coffee day. I pretty good cook but terrible baker, and I attempted some sort of cake, and it was quite embarrassing because everyone's cakes were sold apart from mine. Having to bag your own groceries. So in case you didn't know, in Thailand we don't have to bag our own groceries and we don't have to pay for the bags neither. Yes, I will admit we are a little bit spoiled when it comes to convenience. And I think that might be one of the reasons that draws the Brits to move to Thailand. As some of you know, I did spend some time in America, and over there you don't have to bag your own groceries neither. So the very first time when I went shopping here, After the lady was scanning through all my items, I just stood there and I was like looking at my nails, you know, stood there looking pretty, until I started to realize that, oh my god, like everyone were bagging their own things. Yeah, it was a learning curve, but I have got used to it. You know, it's become now part of me, and it's really not a big deal, especially if you go shopping at Sainsbury's or Tesco's. I mean, it's fine, but let's say if you go shopping at Lidl or Aldi, then that can be a bit of a stressful event, because you've got to be really quick and be strategic about how you place your items at the till. This is something that I really did not expect. I mean, guys, like before moving here, I never saw any fox in my entire life. And then when I moved here, I see them now all the time, because I'm living in London now. So it's quite funny to think really that I am living in one of the most well-known and modernized city in the world. But yet there are these foxes like strolling around the city like they're on them. And have you ever heard a sound of a fox screaming? Oh my god, I feel like it's one of the scariest sounds an animal could produce. It sounds like a lady, like it sounds like a woman screaming. It does sound like that. It's so scary. And one thing is, I don't remember seeing foxes when I was living in Gloucestershire. So I think, I don't know, maybe foxes are just a London thing. So for those of you who live in other parts of England, I mean, you can just let us know if you have foxes there as well. I am interested to know. Okay, the next one is kind of one of my favorite places to go, the pub. It totally surprised me that the pub names in England, or in the UK really, I'll say, just the names are rather weird. The names kind of contain like humans' body parts, for example, the king's head or the king's arms, that kind of thing. And I just thought it was just so funny when I just first moved here to, you know, see all these names. And another thing that completely surprised me was that there are a lot of pubs with the same names. Like the ones that I see the most, I think, would be like Red Lion, like the King's Head, the King's Arms, and the Swan. There's a lot of the Swan as well. I just didn't know, like, you know, there's just so many of the same. But, you know, I'm intrigued actually how many Red Lion there are in the UK. Yeah, so there are approximately about 600 Red Lion pubs in the UK. Living in England, there are also a lot of monthly additional bills that I have to pay, and I didn't have to pay in Thailand. TV license, for example, I think that's one of the biggest thing, and that's the kind of bill that I don't think I've ever heard anywhere has it, but maybe there's a country that has it. I just don't know about it. For those of you who don't live in the UK, TV license is an annual fee, and I think this payment is contributed to BBC. So when you watch BBC on television, you don't see any adverts because you're already paying for TV license. And I think that's about like 150 something a year, so it's not really cheap. Parking permit, for example, I think in Thailand, you know, the parking is not really as much of a massive problem as it is over here. So yeah, you don't really need parking permit. You can just park really anywhere you want. Some of the brand names are also different. So for example, Lynx is called Axe over there in Thailand. Tesco is called Lotus in Thailand. Walkers is called Lay's in Thailand, and I think in America it is called Lay's as well. TK Maxx over here is called TJ Maxx over there in America, and that's, you know, that's what I have observed. And the last one I want to talk about is kind of London specific. In Bangkok we do have underground, and we also have a SkyTrain, which is an underground train. No, overground I meant. And with these two types of transportation, people in Bangkok queue quite nicely to get in and out of the carriage. It just took me by surprise the first time I used the tube to see that people didn't queue to get in and out of the tube, especially knowing that in England and UK people are polite and queuing is the form of showing politeness. But there's no politeness there when you try to get in and out of the tube in a rush hours. But, you know, I'm used to it now. I probably also do the same when I get on the tube. I mean, if other people are not queuing, I am not queuing. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I would like to thank everyone again for your support throughout this journey. I really appreciate it. If you're interested in the topic of life in the UK and British culture, be sure to subscribe to my channel because there will be a lot more to be coming out. I will see you next Wednesday. In the meantime, take care. ขอบคุณค่ะ Bye.